Right, hello everyone. My name is Tetiana Shalepko and I'm a Cambridge University Press CLT consultant. And the first thing I would like to check is whether you can hear me, whether you can see me, and whether you can see the screen. For that, I will ask you to put into a question mark box, where are you from? Just great. I have here hello from Chernivtsi, hello from Zhytomyr, hello from Lviv, Chernihiv, Dnipro, Odessa. Okay, great. Looks like you can see me, you can hear me, and looks like you can see the screen. That's perfect. And we will have time for questions and answers. So I will ask you to forgive me from the very beginning if I don't answer right away, because my question answer box is hidden for the time of the webinar, but we will have some interactive activities, and I will be asking you questions, and then I will read all of your questions at the end as well, and you will have a possibility to build some interaction here. So today we are talking about reflecting on how the lockdown changed us and what's next. This is not going to be a very much teacher development webinar. I will not give you activities for students to work in the classroom. We will be talking about us, our well-being during these 3 months we had, and also why it is important to talk about it, why it is important to reflect on it, because this is something that definitely changed the reality, and this is exactly what we've been discussing for a few years, that in any circumstances we need to stick to life competencies, which are critical thinking, creativity, learning to learn ability, communication, collaboration, and so on and so forth, emotional development, social responsibilities. I think you noticed how important it is to stick to those, because well, let's talk about it during the webinar, and I will move to our aims. So what we're going to discuss: teaching live versus teaching online, continuous professional development, and what does it have to do with our well-being, our reflecting, the value of reflecting, and how we as Cambridge University Press, as linguist company, how we changed. And I will tell you a little bit about Be Ready for Everything with Cambridge campaign. So before we start, I will, as usual, remind you that you will receive your certificates automatically in the thank you letter within a few days after the webinar. Be sure to check your junk mail box. If your certificates didn't come right away, they might got into your junk mailbox. They might got into commercial folder in your mailbox. So check all of those for the certificate and thank you letter with some resources. And the first thing to talk about is teaching live versus teaching online. My question will follow after we watch this little thing. I'm sure I've showed you this person so many times, but I love the whole interview, and this part of the interview fits the topic really well. So a little part of Isaac Asimov talking about the future and the revolution in learning, and the interview was taken in 1980s. So 40 years later from here, let's look at and listen what he was talking about and whether what he said makes sense now.
Instead of having massive as we now have, must have, with a curriculum, once we have outlets, computer outlets in every home, each of them hooked up to enormous libraries where anyone can ask any question and be given answers, be given reference material, be something you're interested in knowing. From an early age, however silly it might seem to someone else, that's what you're interested in. And you ask, and you can find out, and you can follow it up. And you can do it in your own home, at your own speed, in your own direction, in your own time. Then everyone will enjoy learning. Nowadays, what people call learning is forced on you, and everyone is forced to learn the same thing on the same day at the same speed in class. And everyone is different. For some, it goes too fast, for some, too slow, for some, in the wrong direction. But give them a chance, in addition to school, I don't say we abolish school, but in addition to school, to follow up their own bent from the start.
Well, I love the vision, but what about the argument that machines, computers, dehumanize learning?
Well, as a matter of fact, it's just the reverse. It seems to me that it's through this machine that for the first time, we'll be able to have a one-to-one relationship between information source and information consumer, so to speak. Well, in the old days, you used to have tutors for children. A person who could afford it would hire a pedagogue, a tutor, and he would teach children. And if he knew his job, he could adapt his teaching to the tastes and abilities of the students, you see. But how many people could afford to hire a pedagogue? Most children went uneducated. Then we reached the point where it's absolutely necessary to educate everybody. The only way we could do it is to have one teacher for a great many students. And in order to organize the situation properly, we gave them a curriculum to teach from. So how many teachers are good at this too? Like in everything else, the number of teachers is far greater than the number of good teachers. So we either have a one-to-one relationship for the very few or a one-to-many relationship for the many. Now, there's a possibility of a one-to-one relationship for the many. Everyone can have a teacher in the form of access to the gathered knowledge of the human species.
Okay, so I like these interviews for their controversial ideas. And my question to you would be this: what are the benefits of teaching online? What benefits did you find in teaching online? And now I will be looking at the answers questions. I'll give it a little time. There is a delay. Okay, I've got the first one. You don't have to commute to work. Using technology, videos, and games. Positive and interesting, says Julia. Easy access to a plethora of teaching resources. I guess plenty of teaching resources. Convenient, no traffic jams. Sitting at home is all right. Different online resources. Instant access to anything, and for many people, more freedom for students, saving time for transportation. Margarita says no benefits. Shy students feel more confident. Individual assessment when other students don't know the marks. Less stressful for students, I guess. Digital skills. Everyone works at own speed when it is convenient. Creating own video lessons. Okay, and more digital literacy. Social distancing is harming for students. Well, that's not a benefit. We are trying to find benefits here. You are not annoyed by children's behavior. That's a good one. Getting students' attention is easier. That is interesting. I would really love to learn more about it. No benefits for young learners. Okay. Okay, I will stop here. I will stop reading, and I guess I have all the ideas that you mentioned as well. So flexibility of time and location, digital literacy, resources, loads of online resources we can use, we can analyze finally. Learning to learn competency, something you didn't mention, but developing learning to learn competency, not only among students, but also among us teachers. Family involvement, that's something I was thinking about when talking about young learners. And personalization with students might be there. So talking about everything you mentioned, I will not stop on those, but learning to learn competency is something we really need to develop within the students. And in the previous interview, Isaac Asimov said that any student will have, any person will have access to information, and that's the direct access to the information without the teacher in between. Of course, there is curriculum. Of course, there are things students have to know, but once we take away that much of control from the students, they take more responsibility. And this is the law, the psychological law, which is natural. When you take away control, something starts existing more independently, so taking more responsibilities. And in our society, which is really a lot too codependent, we are afraid to loosen this control on the students. We believe as the teachers that students won't be able to learn something if we don't help. We should help, that's for sure, but should we give them the product to swallow? They can choose. They can choose, and maybe, most probably, they will learn more. And if we look at ourselves, we know more than our teachers. These days, we know much more than our teachers in those days. And our students will know much more than us. And we should let them get this knowledge on their own. What we should teach is how to evaluate information, how to manage information, how to work with different resources, and which resources we should believe and what is fake. And thinking about benefits of learning online, of learning live, of course, social distancing is difficult, but at the same time, a lot of people started thinking much more about social responsibilities, which is another significant life competency to think of. Emotional development. Yes, it is important to be in a team, to collaborate, but kids as well these days, as well as we don't have much time, as one of great British poets said, we have no time to stand and stare. Yeah, so we don't have much time on reflecting and on intrapersonal on satisfaction of our intrapersonal intelligence. So to sit down and go inside. Yeah, and this, of course, this was obligatory these days, but it is important to find time for meditation, to find time for psychological health. And I'm pretty sure that during the lockdown period, a lot of people started thinking more about their psychological health and their emotional development, which was kind of useful. And it's not only about being all the time together, being all the time a community. This is something that comes from our past, of our country, of many other countries, that it's important to all the time be together with other people. Of course, people need people, but people need to be on their own for a while too. And this is something to consider for the future of education. And I'm sure that many students who were not going to learn, were not motivated, were not encouraged at school, some of them might have changed at home, but those who were eager to learn, they would learn on their own, and we don't have to control them that much. Group dynamics. This is something that we did lack, but what I did with my students, I gave them project works in pairs or threes, so they could do a Skype meeting and work on some online product or digital product or some video, creating something together, or just creating something together at home and sharing it. And what is important in this case, in groups dynamic, some insight I had, it's not the product. Yeah, and we are used to thinking that, so if this is a project work, the main thing is the presentation of this project at the end. If we are preparing a presentation on the topic ecology, the only important thing is the slides about ecology. But what is the most valuable in this process is the process of students working in a team and coming to this result. And this is something we cannot properly evaluate unless we use Cambridge Framework for Life Competencies, which you can download and look through the collaboration brochure, how students, the can-do statements for students on different levels. But still, we usually evaluate the subject thing, but we often drop out of the attention the point that the main idea, the main thing is the process. This is where the life is happening. The life is not only exams and final performances, but the process of preparing for them. That's where the life is. And the same with the students. What matters for them in collaborative projects is the collaboration, but not the product of the project itself. All right, and something we did lack is real life communication, but still, this is the new world, and we cannot just sit down, get all grumpy, unhappy, and reject the reality. So what we were doing, we were trying to find new ways of communication, even though we didn't like it, because it's unusual, it's something we don't expect, and whatever is unusual, we're afraid of it, and we deny the reality. But So this is something that is going to happen more and more, since the tempo of life is increasing and the life is speeding up. And we should prepare our students to the fact that every day the life can level up and change and take another direction. In such a fast changing world, I remember even 5 years ago, it wasn't changing that fast, but what's going to happen in the next 5 years, it's going to change much faster, and being grumpy about it is not the best idea, because this is something we also teach our students, that taking the changes with dignity and without stressing out about it for too long. Stress is normal, but not everything is danger if it's a change. All right. One more thing from Isaac. Okay, I will look at your questions or answers. More ideas. So thank you very much for so many good ideas on the benefits of online teaching. Many people sent their drawbacks of live teaching. Well, we all know about it: bad sound, bad connection, bad things. But the fact is that we focus on bad things, and since we focus on them, we focus our students on them. And what we need to do is, well, to focus on what's productive and what makes sense to feel happy. Okay, moving on to another part of the speech.
So you're, in a sense, every student has his or her own private school?
Yes, and it belongs to him or her. He can be the sole dictator of what he is going to learn, of what he is going to study. And mind you, this is not all he's going to do. He'll still be going to school for some things that he has to know.
Common knowledge, common database.
Right, and interaction with other students and with teachers. You can't get away from that. But he's got to look forward to the fun in life, which is following his own bent.
This revolution you're talking about, personal learning, it's not just for the young, is it?
No, that's a good point. No, it's not just for young. That's another trouble with education as we now have it. It is for the young, and people think of education as something that they can finish. And what's more, when they finish, that's a rite of passage into manhood.
Real world.
Right. I'm finished with school. I'm no more a child. And therefore, anything that reminds you of school, reading books, having ideas, asking questions, that's kid stuff. Now you're an adult. You don't do that sort of thing anymore, you see?
And in fact, like prison, the reward of school is getting out.
Exactly.
Kids begin to say, when you're getting out.
And every kid knows that. Every kid knows the only reason he's in school is because he's a kid and little and weak. And as soon as and in fact, if he manages to get out early, if he drops out, why, he's just a premature man.
So that's exactly right. In the city, I've talked to some of these dropouts, and they think they're there. They think they've become men because they're out of school.
That's right.
What's wrong with this?
Well, what's wrong with it is you have everybody looking forward to no longer learning, and you make them ashamed afterwards of going back to learning. If you have something like this, then anyone, any age, can learn by himself, can continue to be interested. There's no reason then, if you enjoy learning, why you should stop at a given age. People don't stop things they enjoy doing just because they reach a certain age. They don't stop playing tennis just because they turn 40. They don't stop with sex just because they turn 40. They keep it up as long as they can if they enjoy it. And learning will be the same thing. The trouble with learning is most people don't enjoy it because of the circumstances. Make it possible for them to enjoy learning, and they'll keep it up. There's a famous story about Oliver Wendell Holmes, who lived to be well into his 90s. He was in the hospital one time he had not long to live. He was over 90 already. And President Roosevelt came to see him. And there was Oliver Wendell Holmes reading a Greek grammar. And Roosevelt said, "Why are you reading a Greek grammar, Mr. Holmes?" And Mr. Holmes said, "To improve my mind, Mr. President." I mean, that he had to stop.
Okay. So what we can take from this, that making learning enjoyable is, first of all, making teaching enjoyable. And in an upcoming school year, we might get into the same situation, and it is important as a part of CPD, which is continuous professional development, to reflect. And this is something we will focus on today, how to reflect on what was good, what was bad, and how to use this reflection process. Reflection is one of the core principles of continuous professional development, together with what the development should be. It should be impactful, which means that it should be designed in such a way that it changes your approaches to teaching and changes them consciously. So what happened to us had a great impact to the ways we teach. And we are definitely going to use something. We are definitely not going to come back completely to the way we used to teach before this March. Needs-based. This is something that Isaac Asimov also mentioned when he was talking about 19th century, where families that could afford tutors for their students, for their children, they paid a lot, but tutors were changing their teaching approaches according to the needs of their students, and we cannot satisfy 30 students at a time. That's of course impossible, but what is possible in this situation is to try to satisfy the needs of groups of students from day to day, changing the focus from those who are using more audio intelligence to those who are using more visual intelligence, and trying to balance these intelligences and showing that it's not a negative thing that something in a student is more developed than in another student, because it's different. So yeah, needs-based. Thinking of students' needs and going from students is important for our professional development. Sustained, peer collaborative in practice and evaluated. Peer collaborative, which means that we need to share with other teachers, we need to experiment with other teachers, we need to maybe plan together with other teachers and learn from each other, as well as students do. They often learn from each other, not only from the teacher or a book. In practice, which means that whatever we learn, whatever new devices we get familiar with, we need to practice them. It's not enough to just learn about it and try it once and it didn't work once, so no. We tried once, it didn't work. We tried second time in different circumstances with different kids, it might work. So making practice well, sustainable as well. And evaluating and reflecting. I will not stop on evaluating. We will go to reflection at once. There is a grow model to reflect on our teaching, and it consists on reflecting on the goal, reality, options, and way forward. Written in the article. This is taken from the article by Anna Hasper. You can find this article at blog of better learning at cambridge.org website. So this is a model of reflection you can try, you can practice while there is no teaching process these days, and it might help you to maybe improve the ways you teach both online and offline. So the goal to think about is, what do you feel is already going well in your online lessons? And if you make it at a table, you should think of exact examples of success. All right? The second one is, what makes you say that? What is the evidence that it did go successful? What do you think it is that makes it go well? Which moments? Whether it's emotional atmosphere, what are the strengths, right? And what do you think it is you desire to change in your online teaching? What are the challenges? And here you should, of course, think about the things you can change. Yeah, bad internet connection in our students' apartment is not something you can change, but you can talk to parents. You can explain why it might be important in future. How will your lessons look or feel different when your desired changes are met? And here you can build a model of a perfect lesson and try to go there. That will be your goal. If you build the perfect lesson for yourself, and then you will start looking for the resources, and they will come. Because when you don't have a goal which is understandable for you and very detailed, then it's much more difficult to move in some direction. Yeah, if you have a goal, you know that you go only this direction. Which of your desired changes has the most impact on students' learning? These are the questions to think of, and you can make a screenshot right now if you want to think about it. So these are 5 questions to evaluate your goals and to see what you can change on the stage of setting the goals. Reality. What actions in relation to your goal have you tried so far to initiate any change? Did you try it during this period, or you're only going to try something? What were the effects? How much time have you got to work on your desired change? What resources are available to you at the moment to help you make the changes? What capabilities, and here we mean skills and knowledge of you as a teacher, do you already have? What kind of support do you need and can you get at the moment? And by support, we mean not only your administration, but also parents, different resources, the publisher, the companies that provide teacher training, and you can get support from many places like this. Oh, sorry. So at this point, how your goals work when they meet the reality. And It is also important on this stage not to think about, on the stage of setting the goal, not to think about reality at once, because this is something that is really usual for us as Ukrainians. We at once we think that this is not going to work because this is what's going to happen. It will be bad. I was doing an online course while the lockdown, where I was told it was an online course in theater directing, and I was told that before you start preparing a performance or making a film or whatever it is, think about the perfect product you want to achieve with any unrealistic things. And you know that there isn't budget for the things you need. There isn't anything. There are no resources. But you create the image of what is perfect for you. And then using the resources you have, using the budget you have, you're trying to reach this goal. And in this case, you will go much further if you then you would go in case you would be thinking about the reality at once. Okay, moving on. Options. If anything was possible, how would you create desired change? That's what I'm talking about. If there are no restrictions, how would you do it? Think of 3 other possible ways to create the desired change. And here, where we meet the reality. So if you were omnipotent, what would you do? And what are the 3 ways closer to reality? What knowledge and skills do you need for this? And in this case, you can get closer to the anything is possible moment. What knowledge and skills do you already use in your areas of success? And important to value those skills and knowledge you have already, not to diminish them. And way forward, which of the ways above seem most realistic at the moment? Of your strengths and capabilities, which can you use to achieve your goal? Could you use your strengths and capabilities to achieve your goal? Is there anything else you are going to need, available resources and support? List the specific steps you will need to take to achieve your goal. What will you do first? What will you do next? When do you want to achieve your goal? How will you know you have been successful? How will you know your goal is achieved? Also important thing to reflect on. So you set a goal and then you think, you compare what the product is, what the goal was, and you think, were you successful? Would you be so successful if you didn't take those steps? And so on. How to say, to continue with reflecting, we're going to launch the competition, My Best Online Experience. So for you to think of what worked the best while this period, what would be something you would like to share with other teachers. And we will start the competition next week, most probably, and for you exclusively as the participants of the webinar, we are announcing it right now. So think of a story, and it can be in the form of a video or written text, and terms and conditions of the competition will be there on our Facebook page a little bit later, so follow our news. All right. And there was a moment, how did we change? as the publishers, we started the Supporting Every Teacher campaign, where every week there was a set of different blog posts supporting teachers and different free resources for teachers to use in their online classes. And now this Supporting Every Teacher campaign grew into Be Ready for Anything with Cambridge campaign. And in this campaign, we are going to provide you as the users of Cambridge University Press materials with anything, any digital support you need in whatever situation is going to happen in future. So to learn more about about Be Ready for Anything with Cambridge campaign, if you are the user or a partner of Cambridge University Press, you can text me and I will tell you more about what extra support we can provide you with for the next school year. And this is something you might have seen already, how to teach remotely with. And here we have our materials like Think, Eyes Open, Prepare. There is Empower, there is Superminds, Kids Box. All the materials that Cambridge has now have how to teach remotely with guides. And my favorite course for online teaching would still be Prepare second edition. I will not tell you everything about it as I usually do, but I will just stress out that it's a very flexible course, and the bigger half of all the materials is online in a teacher library. In case you purchase this course for your students, you will be and a teacher's book for yourself. All other materials are free for you, which is videos, audio, all the worksheets, tests, and the huge teacher resource library, plus the interactive program for online teaching or for interactive whiteboard, the presentation plus component, the very valuable component, will be free for you, as well as the task generator if you work with Prepare course. And also the special proposal from the Linguist Company is the free companion for Ukraine updated edition with the Prepare second edition course. Also, there are many materials for exam preparation, such as Compact, Complete, and well, you can see Prepare here because it also prepares you students for not only Cambridge exams, but also the state exams and the independent external examination, or known as ZNO. Also, what we've done during this period is we started the campaign with video lessons, with quick notes, Cambridge Corners, and we also are preparing new editions such as Super Portfolio book and Super Reading book for new Ukrainian school students who need more assistance with self-evaluation and developing their reading skills. And we created the activity book for Quick Minds 3 for Ukraine, together with the reading section, as we were asking teachers what support they need. And what we've heard is that students lack reading. That's why we prepared the new edition for activity books in Quick Minds 3. And it is important to tell what support you need and to tell it straight, and then it's heard. It's like it is important to voice your needs to the publishers, and Cambridge University Press and the Linguist Company and the Linguist Publishing House are really open for suggestions. So if you have any comments, we would happily listen to you to improve our books according to the needs of the teachers, because that's why we work. And on Publishing Linguist UA website, you can find quick notes, and I will now show you exactly what they are. Here are the quick notes. These are PDF downloadable documents. You can find here how to teach remotely with Quick Minds 3. You can find the latest one is, let me see, the reading time from Quick Minds 3 activity book. There are different activities that you can use with your students with this text, and this is reading time 8. And we are going to make all the 9 quick notes for each activity in the reading time section. To learn more, go to Publishing Linguist UA website, and you can download lots of other activities and useful resources there. Okay, coming back to the presentation. Also, we've got the Linguist Training Center that provides different training events for teachers, like Teaching Teens. It's a blended module for teachers who want to develop develop professionally if they work in a secondary school, and the same one, Teaching Kids. 5-module course from the Linguist Training Center. To learn more, you can text or email or find us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, everywhere to get more information about the events of the Linguist Training Center. And one more thing I want to mention for those teachers who work with New Ukrainian School program. You might have seen the teacher development online platform that was designed in 2018 together with the British Council Ukraine, the Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine, Cambridge University Press, and Cambridge Assessment English. This is the platform, and now there is the second stage on this platform, which is obligatory to pass if you're going to teach in the 3rd and 4th form grade of the primary school. And what you have to do is to pass the second test and to get familiar with the documents here. This is the curriculum, the ministry curriculum, and Cambridge Framework for Life Competencies. And there is test 2. Also, what we've done on this platform, what's new on this platform, is the mapping resources, where we mapped all the online activities on this platform according to the curriculum for grade 1 to 4. And this is what it looks like. So there is activity, the link to the activity you can use in the classroom, and this activity is linked to the topic by the curriculum of the ministry, to the topic, to the language function, and to the skills it develops: listening, speaking, reading, and so on. And there is a brief description of this activity. And there is huge mapping table with all the activities from British Council and Cambridge University Press, so you don't have to search for these activities and think about how you can implement them into your lesson. We've done it for you, and it's all on the new Ukrainian school platform for teacher development. And coming back to the presentation again, any questions? And at this moment, I will open the question box to see. Okay. What we've got here. What about socializing students who study online? Will it be okay not to have that at school as it will be online? Well, students will find the way to socialize anyways. School is not the only place where students socialize. And I was thinking about freelance workers who sit at home and work, and they still socialize with their friends. They still socialize online with co-workers. And this is just another way of socializing with co-workers. So it's important to provide students with projects that they can finish online. And this is how the work is done these days. We don't, not all the work, yeah, it depends, but still the working process doesn't stop if it goes online in most offices, which are now popular. And they will still socialize, at least with their family. Okay. Our government is not ready to support online teaching everywhere. Do you agree? I do. I do agree. Any government is not able to support everybody everywhere. Some governments cannot support people with water, but this doesn't mean that we shouldn't try to use new methods. Being on the platforms and having digital course books makes online teaching better. Yes, and this is something we can support you with from Cambridge University Press. We've got teachers support packs for the new school year. To learn more, you can either email me or your manager at the linguist company, your sales manager at the linguist company. I've got a few thank yous. When will Quick Minds 4 be available? We've been asking, we've been asking you what was good and what was something to improve about Quick Minds 3, and we've made conclusions what should be done to Quick Minds 4. So at the moment, we are finishing one of the units, so it responds the teacher's needs you've been talking about. When it's going to be available, well, in the new school year it will be, but since the lockdown happened, we had to a little bit freeze all the production, but it will be there in the new school year, and you will be using those. Have you got any listening tasks adapted to ZNO requirements? Yes, we have Exam Booster for Ukraine, complete edition, specifically for external examination. You can order it. It was published in Ukraine and written by one Ukrainian author and one American author. So all the listening tasks are in the format of Zeno, in 3 different types of tasks with 3 examples. What textbooks you recommend for grade 2? Okay, Julia left with this question, but I will tell you that it depends on your needs. If you're going to prepare students for exams, it can be Kids Box, it can be Story Fun, and Fun for starters. If you're not preparing your students for Cambridge exams, it can be, guess what, if it's a private school, the licensed one is Superminds or Quick Minds for Ukraine. So depending on what exactly you need in grade 2, how many hours you have, you can ask me a question and I will help you with it. All right, what's next? What's your opinion about distance learning, or is it better to combine online with live teaching? If I could, I would combine. I would maybe make a weekly sessions with teachers, like weekly briefings maybe, or something like that. And then students can work in groups, work in pairs in different ways. Online, they can meet and work together, and then come and maybe get more information, so more project-based learning. And I think it would be really productive, but for that we need to change the whole system. So I would keep online learning as a part of learning, but only in those educational establishments who can provide good materials for online learning, who can provide and for teachers who can adapt easily, and who can work with and develop digitally and try new things. So there is no formula for the best way of teaching, but I think that distance learning is something we forcefully entered, and something we need to experiment with, because it has a lot of benefits. How can teachers manage the teaching process in blended learning? That's the question for the whole new webinar. How to manage teaching process in blended learning. I don't really know what exactly you mean. Like making content for online and offline learning, it will take more time for sure. But well, this is a very broad question with a very broad answer with different options. But the main thing is to choose the platform and create safe circumstances in both online version and offline version, and give your students more responsibility of their learning. Would it be possible to order a free teacher's book for Quick Minds 3-4 this year? Yes. Thank you for the webinar. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, I've got a lot of thank yous here. What motivation for better self-sufficiency of students in online learning can you use in your classes. Okay, so something for motivation. Well, motivating strategies are the same, online and offline. If you enjoy your teaching, if you enjoy the process, students will enjoy it too. And making this online space a safe space, and making a system out of it will motivate students. Some specific practices, you can actually read more about them in the top tips for motivating students online on the World of Better Learning blog. And also I already had 3 webinars on remote learning with different types of activities, the interactive activities for different types of students, and you can look through those. So what's important is to make this learning interactive anyways. The breakout rooms, the voting processes, and so on will be motivating. Okay, I'm looking for more questions. How can we get teacher's book for quick minds? Information will be at the Publishing Linguist UA website and our Facebook page, so check them out. For now, I cannot tell you how exactly you can get it. Do you like the idea of blended or hybrid learning as a common sense in teaching? That's new, that's interesting to try, and that's something that did develop the process of education. And even if I don't like it, this is the reality and we have to adapt. I can say that I'm not a big fan of online teaching, online learning. I didn't used to be. And when we started doing webinars with Cambridge University Press 3 years ago, I hated this idea because only at the seminars I can look at the teachers, talk to them, and this will make sense. But now I'm much more fond of webinars, and I can actually talk to 1,000 teachers, no, now it's 400 teachers, 400 teachers at the same time without sitting all together in one room, the 400 teachers and me talking, and still there can be problems with technology, problems with presentation, problems with microphone, and so on. So if we think about problems, we don't like it. But if we think about benefits, there is always something to like. So yes, I can say that I like any new idea, and I think about how I can benefit from it. How do pupils encourage? How to encourage pupils in distant learning? That's the topic, the question we already discussed. So stay motivated, and your students will be motivated. Okay, I've got a really nice thank you comment from Valentina Bohaterets. Dear Tatiana, I want to send you my thanks and positive vibes for voicing all our aspirations, life competencies, experiences, and gaining emotional balance during Corona learning. My strong conviction is that one of the greatest achievements of ours is attending your insightful and very topical webinars. Thank you so much. I think this is something that really makes me happy. Such comments, thank you, really. Thank you for giving it such a value. How do people, how to encourage, okay, we've gone with this. What else? Okay, thank you for your inspiration, and thank you for loads of Facebook posts about distance learning, and this is a part of reflecting process, and this is where I get my inspiration from you, the teachers. Okay, so time's up. If you have more questions or need more details, you can email me. And thank you very much for the webinar. See you at the Back to School online conference in August. More information about it will be coming soon. Goodbye.